You know, I cannot believe all of the people on social media today going, I told you, I called it. Like everybody's got to be first and everybody's got to be right. It's absolutely astounding. Like we didn't know that the invalid Joe Biden wasn't going to drop out of the race. Of course he was going to drop out of the race. It was just a matter of the timing of the thing. And now it looks like all of the left-wing corporate media in the United States is rallying behind Kamala Harris, and we'll discuss more about that a little bit later on in the show. Welcome to Shadow at Night, you guys. It's Sunday. It's July the 21st already. Man, summer is flying by so fast. And some are saying, this is going to be our last one. Enjoy it. Personally, I don't believe that. I believe we've got many more summers ahead of us. But for those doomsaying, I hope at least they're making plans. I hope at least they're stocking up and taking care of their savings the right way instead of just spreading all the doom and gloom all across the internet. I am going to deliver you guys, I don't want to call it the King Kong of conspiracy theories, but it's a pretty big one. Because remember last Thursday night when I was on the phone, I was talking to somebody. I've got a contact down in Washington. And that contact told me that get set for Joe Biden to make this announcement this weekend, Saturday or Sunday. My money was on yesterday. Didn't happen till today. But another contact down there got a hold of me this morning and said, you want to know why J.D. Vance has been named as the vice presidential nominee with Donald Trump? And I said, sure. And he said, think of this name, Peter Thiel. And then go and look at all the video you can find on Peter Thiel, especially what Whitney Webb, the investigative reporter, says about Peter Thiel. He's one of those PayPal mafia guys from the early 2000s. He and Elon Musk and a bunch of others created PayPal and then offshot from there to the positions they're in today, billionaires all. And we're going to get to that tonight in the extension on shadowdavis.com. So if you are a member, an all-access member at shadowdavis.com, you're going to get that. We're going to cover all of the Biden news today, the Kamala Harris news, and the fallout and the reactions from many different people in media and politics in the first half hour of the show tonight on social. Welcome to the show, Chuck and Linda and Carla and Michael and Tiss and Sharon, Doreen and Mireille. If you guys are watching on Facebook or on X or on YouTube tonight, don't forget to like and share. Let's get this out to as many people as we possibly can. And if you're watching on Rumble tonight, like ISIS Wants Freedom and Amnesty and Can Truth Seeker and Don't Screw With Me and PDS 10 and Canterbury and Lexus 400H and Delby and all you guys over on Rumble, don't forget to give us a thumbs up. Let's get this out to as many people as we possibly can across the 100 million strong Rumble community. By the way, Peter Thiel, huge financial backer of Rumble. You heard Wayne Peters and I a couple of weeks ago talking about censorship possibly on Rumble in the last month. We thought we were losing our minds. But both of us have experienced this. Why? Rumble is supposed to be a free speech platform. That's what they say. But is it really? Is it really? We're going to find out more in about a half hour from now. The show, as always, is brought to you by Canada Nano Silver, CanadaNanoSilver.ca. I don't have this stuff. Kev gave me a shipment about a month ago at the Stronger Together conference in Beausejour, and I guess I didn't get this stuff to recover. I needed it because I did something to my back yesterday. I turned to say hello to somebody. You know when you're old, right? Experience the ultimate comfort and relaxation as Recover works its magic, formulated with cutting-edge technology. The advanced muscle cream provides unparalleled relief, catering to your unique needs. It's made with the genius of silverceutical technology and all-natural products. If you want to check this out and many of the other awesome products online, you can do so at CanadaNanoSilver.ca. Again, that is CanadaNanoSilver.ca. If you're looking for a retail location, there are over 30 from coast to coast all across the country. You can check it out on the retail locations tab here at CanadaNanoSilver.ca. And if you're thinking about, I could use a side hustle, I need something to keep me occupied. And remember, when you invest your money with Canada Nano Silver, you're keeping it out of the hands of the globalists, of the big corporations. and you're putting it back in the hands of people just like us. So if you want to be a retailer of these awesome products, get a hold of Kevin and Anna through the contact tab at CanadaNanoSilver.ca. That again is CanadaNanoSilver.ca. So, Joe Biden has dropped out of the presidential race for 2024. And here was his initial statement. It was on X. Now, it didn't look official when I first saw this, I have to say. How come it's not on presidential letterhead? Well, I don't know why. We know that Joe Biden doesn't write his own tweets, and maybe his office staff is inept, or maybe they wanted to get attention somehow before actually coming out with the announcement, or it was just ham-handed. I don't know exactly why they would do it like this, but here it is. Joseph R. Biden Jr., as of today, July 21st, 2024, says, "My fellow Americans, over the past 3.5 years, we're running about it as a nation." Today, America's the strongest economy in the world. Man, we've made historic investments, blah, 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 blah. Now, in this, he says he's not going to carry on his campaign. He's going to remain in the office of president until January when his term ends. But here's the thing. He's not competent. He's not compos mentis. He doesn't have it up here. He's old. It's not because he's old. It's not an age thing, as you know. It's simply the fact that he's got something. We don't know what it is. Some people are saying it's Parkinson's. I don't know. I'm not a doctor. I can't make that determination. Online doctors have said, yeah, that's an obvious case of Parkinson's disease, and it's really causing him some mental strife. He can't get his words out. He struggles. He gets angry when he can't do it. And anyway, the bottom line is, in this particular statement, he did not make a reference to who he was endorsing. And then, a couple of hours later, he said this, again on X, "My fellow Democrats, I have decided not to accept the nomination and to focus all of my energies on my duties as president for the remainder of my term." Who is making these decisions for the next 5 months is anybody's guess. It could be, Barack Obama, all of that cartel there, that Democrat cartel. "My very first decision as the party nominee in 2020 was to pick Kamala Harris as my vice president, and it's been the best decision I've made. Today, I want to offer my full support and endorsement for Kamala to be the nominee for our party this year. Democrats, it's time to come together and beat Trump. Let's do this." And then, of course, here's the picture of Kamala and Joe when they first took office or that spring. Always hasn't been so rosy between these two. Let's go back to the presidential debate a few years ago, about 4.5 years ago, and we heard this from them.
That's one of the things I argued for, that we should be breaking down these lines. But so the bottom line here is, look, everything I've done in my career, I ran because of civil rights. I continue to think we have to make fundamental changes in civil rights. And those civil rights, by the way, include not just only African Americans, but the LGBT community.
But Vice President Biden, do you agree today that you were wrong to oppose busing in America then?
No.
Do you agree?
I did not oppose busing in America. What I opposed is busing ordered by the Department of Education. That's what I opposed.
Well, there was a failure of states to integrate public schools in America. I was part of the second class to integrate Berkeley, California public schools almost 2 decades after Brown v. Board of Education.
Because your city council made that decision. It was a local decision.
So that's where the federal government must step in. That's why we have the Voting Rights Act and the Civil Rights Act. That's why we need to pass the Equality Act. That's why we need to pass the ERA, because there are moments in history where states fail to preserve the civil rights of all people.
I have supported the ERA from the very beginning when I ran
Vice President Biden, 30 seconds, because I want to bring other people in.
All right. There's Bernie Sanders in the middle just kind of going, Now, there's a lot of people say Bernie Sanders should step up and run. How's it going to work out? How's it going to happen? Well, I guess we need to go to the left wing to find out how the left wing operates. First of all, they've got their DNC, the Democratic National Convention, coming up in about a month in Chicago. And PBS says this: here's what could happen next as Biden drops out and endorses Harris. Democrats are holding their convention, like I just said. What was supposed to be a coronation for Biden now becomes an open contest in which nearly 4,700 delegates will be responsible for picking a new standard bearer to challenge Donald Trump. The path ahead is neither easy nor obvious, even with Biden endorsing Harris. There are unanswered questions about logistics, money, and political fallout. Can Biden redirect his delegates? He won every state primary and caucus earlier this year and only lost the territory of American Samoa. At least 3,896 delegates had been pledged to support him. Current party rules do not permit Biden to pass them to another candidate. Politically, though, his endorsement is likely to be influential if he were actually all there. What could happen at the convention? With Biden stepping aside, Democrats technically start with an open convention, but realistically, his endorsement pushes Democrats into murky territory. The immediate burden is on Harris to solidify support across almost 4,000 delegates from the states, territories, and the District of Columbia, plus more than 700 so-called super delegates that include party leaders, certain elected officials, and former presidents and vice presidents. Will anyone challenge Kamala? Even before Biden announced his decision, Democrats floated Gavin Newsom and Governor of Michigan Gretchen Whitmer as potential candidates in addition to Harris. Yet some Democrats argued publicly, and many privately, that it would be a no-brainer to elevate the first woman, first black woman, and first person of South Asian descent to hold national office. Given how important black voters, and black women especially, were to Biden's nomination and his choice of Harris as running mate, it would be risky, to say the least, for Democrats to pass her over for a white nominee. What happens to Biden's money? By the way, apparently, just after Biden made this announcement today, they got $27 million in donations. $27 million, which is insane. What? The Biden campaign recently reported $91 million cash on hand. Allied Democratic campaign committees brought the total at his disposal to more than $240 million. Campaign finance experts agree generally that Harris could control all of those funds since the campaign was set up in her name and Biden's name. If Democrats do nominate someone other than Harris, party accounts could still benefit that nominee, but the Biden-Harris account would have more restrictions. For example, legal experts say it could become an independent expenditure political action committee, but not simply transfer its balance to a different nominee. How will a vice presidential nomination work? In routine years, the convention ratifies the choice of nominee. If Harris closes ranks quickly, she could name her choice and have the delegates ratify it. In an extended fight, though, the vice presidency could become part of a horse trading thing. Again, a return to conventions of an earlier era. And can Republicans keep Harris off state ballots? That would be funny if they could, but let's see. Any curveball during a U.S. presidential campaign is certain to produce a flurry of state and federal lawsuits in this hyper-partisan era. And some conservatives have threatened just that. State laws, though, typically do not prescribe how parties choose their nominees for president. Some GOP figures like Mike DeWine in Ohio, Alabama Governor Kay Ivey have worked already this year to ensure their party did not deny Democrats routine ballot access. All right. Here's what Vivek Ramaswamy, this is the evolution of a conspiracy theory, as he calls it, all the way back to January of 2023. Let's watch.
There's a myth that President Biden's running for president. I think they just put a
January. All right, let's go.
brain-dead, hollowed-out husk of a human being in the White House because that's more convenient for them. The risk is a thinking person could change their mind. They don't want somebody who could change their mind. They want Joe Biden.
Mark my words, Joe Biden will not be the nominee for the Democratic Party.
We know he's not even the president of the United States. He's a puppet for the managerial class. Step up and be honest about who you're actually going to put up so we can have an honest debate. Biden should step aside so we can see whether it's Newsom or Michelle Obama or whoever else.
Right,
just tell us the truth so we can have an honest debate.
The president is healthy and vigorous, fit enough to perform his presidential duties.
Fit for duty.
Fit for duty. Fit to successfully execute the duties of the presidency.
Excuse me, with dealing with everything we have to do with, look, if we finally beat Medicare.
There's a myth that President Biden's running for president. I think they just put a
Okay. Vivek Ramaswamy will come up again in this show. right after the announcement today, here's what Ben Shapiro had to say. Ben.
Alrighty, folks, so breaking news, huge news. Joe Biden is out. He has now announced he is out. I was doubtful, I'll be honest with you, because he's a very, very stubborn man, and he does not like being pushed out. But with the new polls that have emerged over the weekend showing him down 7 in Michigan, showing him down nationally, widely, probably going to lose the Electoral College by 100 votes, losing Virginia, losing maybe Minnesota, competitive in New Jersey. Apparently, he had no other choice. The donors came to him, the Obamas came to him, everybody came to him, and he is out. A little bit earlier today, just a few minutes ago, he released a statement via Twitter, which again demonstrates where things are at. You would figure that he would do a sort of farewell press conference. He is not retiring from the presidency itself. He is only saying that he is not going to run, which leaves open a massive question as to why exactly he is qualified to continue running the country right now, but he is not qualified to continue running for the nomination of the Democratic Party. Here is the letter that he just wrote. Quote, "My fellow Americans, over the past 3.5 years, we've made great progress as a nation. Today, America has the strongest economy in the world. We've made historic investments in rebuilding our nation and lowering prescription drug costs for seniors and in expanding affordable health care to a record number of Americans. We've provided critically needed care to 1 million veterans exposed to toxic substances, passed the first gun safety law in 30 years, appointed the first African-American woman to the Supreme Court, and passed the most significant climate legislation in the history of the world. America has never been better positioned to lead than we are today," which of course, none of that is true, which is why he has a 32% approval rating, which is really why he's leaving. Let's be real about this. He's not leaving because he's senile. He's leaving because he's losing. He continues, quote, "I know none of this could have been done without you, the American people. Together, we overcame a once-in-a-century pandemic and the worst economic crisis since the Great Depression. We've protected and preserved our democracy. We revitalized and strengthened our allies around the world. It has been the greatest honor of my life to serve as your president, and while it has been my intention to seek re-election, I believe it is in the best interest of my party and the country for me to stand down and to focus solely on fulfilling my duties as president for the remainder of my term. I will speak to the nation later this week in more detail about my decision. For now, let me express my deepest gratitude to all those who have worked so hard to see me re-elected. I want to thank Vice President Kamala Harris for being an extraordinary partner in all this work, and let me express my heartfelt appreciation to the American people for the faith and trust you have placed in me. I believe today what I always have. There's nothing America can't do. When we do it together, we just have to remember we are the United States of America." Anyway, so he's out. Well, there are two things that letter does not say. One, I'm throwing all of my delegates to Kamala Harris. He does not say that. He does not say Kamala Harris will make a fine nominee for our party, and she should be the person who picks up the mantle. He does not, in fact, pass the torch to his vice president. The only thing he says is it's my honor to serve with Kamala Harris, but he doesn't say anything beyond that. That is a glaring omission. The other thing that it pretty clearly says is that he is going to stay as president of the United States, which opens up an entire line of attack on anyone, including Kamala Harris, who doesn't push him out right now. Let's say that you're Kamala Harris, and let's say that you're consolidating support inside the Democratic Party, which behind the scenes, apparently, you have been doing. There are a bunch of factors militating in favor of her becoming the new nominee. One of them is that Joe Biden's campaign, the Biden-Harris campaign, has like $100 million in the bank. That money basically gets locked up unless Harris is the actual nominee who can pick up the baton. Not only that, Kamala Harris also has the support of people like James Clyburn. Obviously, a big part of the Democratic voter base are Black Americans. Black Americans supposedly like Kamala Harris. I'm not sure where that data is coming from, but that is seen as a sort of insuperable obstacle for Democrats in nominating anyone else. Also, it creates a line of continuity, but that is actually the problem for the Democrats. A line of continuity with Joe Biden is really bad for them. All the attacks that have been leveraged against Joe Biden can now be leveraged against Kamala Harris. And because he's not stepping down from the presidency, the question is going to be to Kamala Harris, you know he's too senile to be president of the United States. Why don't you 25th Amendment him? Why don't you push him out? And she won't. She won't. Because if she tried to, then he would fight back on that, because that would be a full disgrace. He'd be the first president ever to have the 25th Amendment invoked on him if that were going to be a thing that actually happens. She's not going to do that. So she's now stuck between a...
Well, I don't know. She might. It depends. Everything depends on everything else. But I don't believe any of it really matters. And we'll get to that in the extension tonight for all access pass holders at shadowdavis.com. What does Tulsi Gabbard have to say about all of this?
Hey, everybody. I just got here to Rome, where I'm going to be joining a dialogue and forum on peace, security, and prosperity for the Western Hemisphere in Europe. I just saw the news flash like everybody else. President Biden's no longer running for re-election, and he's endorsed Kamala Harris to be the Democratic nominee for president and commander-in-chief. I'm going to sound the same warning now that I have been for years, going all the way back to 2020 when both Kamala and I were running for president on the Democratic ticket. She is unfit and unqualified to be our president and commander-in-chief and would be incredibly dangerous in that position. The prospect of Kamala Harris making decisions about war and peace and where to send my brothers and sisters in uniform into harm's way is not only terrifying to us, it should be terrifying to every American, knowing that we would all pay the price for her dangerous actions and dangerous decisions. Everything you've heard me say about Hillary Clinton, the queen of warmongers, can also be said of Kamala Harris. There should be no question in your mind that if Kamala is allowed to be our president and commander-in-chief, she'll be the maidservant of this queen of warmongers, the head of this elitist cabal of warmongers that has gotten us into this place. They're the ones who've been calling the shots behind Joe Biden's presidency. They would continue to call the shots if Kamala Harris is president. And where have they led us? To the brink of war with multiple countries in all parts of the world, and closer to the brink of nuclear war and Armageddon now than ever before. The choice for us is very clear. If we cherish peace and freedom, and if we love our country, we must vote against Kamala Harris in this election on November 5th and vote for Donald Trump.
All right. This is an interesting one from Jack Posobiec. I don't agree with this guy on much. But on this, yeah.
And I'm going to say what a lot of these folks aren't saying. I'm just going to say it. If you think that there is consensus among the people who want Joe Biden to leave, that they will support Kamala, Vice President Harris, you would be mistaken. And I'm going to say that because if they're going to come out and say all their little things on background off the record, but they're not going to be fully honest, I'm going to be honest for them. I'm in these rooms. I see what they say in conversations. A lot of them are not just interested in removing the president. They are interested in removing the whole ticket.
Ew. Yeah, and then there's Charlie Kirk. So, it's interesting. A lot of the right-wing media in the United States has been blowing up the Trump balloon. And I'm not sure if you caught my shows last week, especially the one the day after Trump got shot. I'm not buying everything. And like I said, I got some inside, I'm hoping anyway, and this is, again, the mother of conspiracy theories that I'm going to drop tonight. But I was just thinking today, 2 + 2 + 2 = 6. And then you add another 2, and that's 8. Divide that by 2, it equals 4. And so on and so on and so on. She's doing the math in your head. Why is J.D. Vance running as vice president on the Republican ticket with Donald Trump? Why? Because I have it that he was going to pick somebody else. And we'll get to that. Alex Jones. Does he ever talk about a guy named Peter Thiel? I've been looking for some video of Alex Jones talking about a guy called Peter Thiel, and I couldn't find anything. However, this is what Alex said earlier today.
On the 9th of this month, I predicted that on the weekend of the 20th and the 21st, it's 21st today, that Joe Biden would officially resign from the nomination to be the Democrat nominee in 2024 for 2025. I specifically nailed it because I was gauging all the different factors that were involved. It would take 2 hours to go over. That's why we're tomorrow's news today. While the corporate establishment, enemy of the people media lies to you about what's happening now, we tell you the truth about what's coming next. Now, this is what the globalists are planning now. It may change. And the reason it's important you understand that I know the enemy's operation is that we can change it by listening to what I'm saying and becoming aware of it. I'm going to be covering it all at 4 p.m. Central in just mere minutes at Real Alex Jones on X and Infowars.com/show on radio stations across the country. Now, you notice that Hillary And Obama for weeks have said, no, Biden's never going to leave. We love him. While their surrogates, it's now come out that worked for them in the deep state, were trying to make Biden, who was refusing to resign. I made the prediction that he would still stay in as president so he can pardon his son and his brother and the rest of them for all their crimes, but that this weekend he would officially resign. He really secretly told them he would capitulate on the 17th. That's now come out. And I said on the 17th, I believe today's the day he did it. He said, I'm sick and I might step down if I'm sick. I said, that's it, he's gone. He sent that out as a text message on X to let the establishment know, see, I'm stepping down, it'll be a few more days. So he nailed that. So when Hillary and Obama and the Democrats say Biden shouldn't resign, but all their surrogates say he should, that's because they don't want the political heat of doing it. They want him to have the pain. Now they're talking about Kamala, saying they all endorse her, but oh, terrible meetings with the donors, and she's doing a terrible job. So they're acting like their hands are clean, while they have their hatchet men and women and surrogates take her out. So they will move to put Hillary Clinton in. We started seeing major PR push 3 days ago, once they knew Biden was going to step down, that she should be the person, that she has the answers, that she won the popular vote, that she's the one. Now, that doesn't mean they'll get her in there, but I'm telling you, it's not an opinion, it's a fact. Hundreds of articles, starting with The Hill, saying she should be the nominee. And it's not a real nominee, it's totally dictatorial, just like they stole the election in 2020 and then rigged the primaries with no debates or competition. It's just a continuation of the deep state donors putting in who they want. And Hillary has huge power, and her people are all inside the government. Now, it may still be Kamala, it might be Gavin, might be Whitmer, it might still be Kamala. But Hillary is the one they're going to try to insert. All
right. Now, a couple of curveballs, and I'm not going to say Big Mike here, you guys. I know you're waiting for me to say that. I'm going to say that she might be a possibility. She might be. Who knows? Maybe they trot her up. Maybe it's all been pre-planned, as people are saying in comments here. And Whitney Webb, that's right. She does have a lot to say about Peter Thiel, Lynn, and we're going to get to that. But what about RFK Jr., who's been running with a pretty good, 10% of the national vote's not bad as an independent. He's been running as an independent since breaking from the Democrat Party about a year ago. What if the Democrats were to reach out to RFK Jr. and say, hey, would you maybe be interested? What does he have to say about that? Oh, I had this video all lined up. There it is. All right. I have to re-enter my email now. There we go.
Taking part, if there was an open convention, you called for that. Is that something you would consider taking part?
I would certainly listen to the party elders if they came to me. I would discuss something with them. I'm the only presidential candidate who can beat Donald Trump. And if I were them, I would do that. And I would certainly listen to their proposals.
Will you actively seek out that nomination? You're saying if they come to you, but
no, I am very content running where I am. And I believe I can win this election. I believe at this point it's a two-man race or two-person race, let me put it that way. And, and that I'm in the best position to win.
And if the polling then shows that you're not in the best position, whoever the Democrats go with, whether it's Vice President Harris or someone else, will you, because what you cite often are your internal polls. So if your internal polls show that you will actually lose, would you step down and step aside?
Well, I would that's an interesting proposal, and I would consider taking that proposal if the other candidates did the same.
You mentioned Kamala Harris is who you said that the Democratic Party appeared poised to put into that position. You were critical there, obviously, of President Biden's policy. What, if anything, is different? How do you compare yourself to Kamala Harris if she does become the Democratic nominee for president?
Well, I think...
Okay, that doesn't matter anymore. What he is saying here is that, yes, he would consider, if the party elders reached out to him, to run for the nomination. And again, they're going to have to go through the process, guys. They have to go through the process at the DNC in a month in Chicago. They have to. And those delegates don't belong to anybody right now. They did belong to Joe Biden. He can't just give them to Kamala Harris, even though he's endorsing her. He can't just give the delegates away. The delegates might all go in different directions. And we don't know yet if anybody else might step up. Now, having said what I said earlier, we just found out that Hillary Clinton has endorsed Kamala Harris. At least that's what we have read. We're going to have to look more on that one, but Hillary Clinton apparently has endorsed Kamala Harris. So it does appear now that the party is crystallizing around, and the media is crystallizing around Kamala Harris as the front runner for the Democratic nomination. Rosie O'Donnell had something to say last week. The polls have been against Biden for months now, and they've only gotten worse since the assassination attempt last weekend. And Rosie is scared. She's not too happy about this at all.
The whole thing is very, very unnerving. In 100 days, people are saying to me, my therapist actually said to me, well, it's a long time between now and November. No, it isn't. We're about to start school again. You know how quick all of a sudden it's Halloween, and then it's Thanksgiving break.
Mm-hmm.
So by Thanksgiving break, we're going to know whether we still have democracy in the United States. That's not a long time. It's a long...
Yeah, go away. Look who endorses Kamala Harris. Alex Soros, the son of George Soros. And Alex is in charge of the Soros $25 billion family empire. And there they are together. Alex Soros endorses Kamala Harris. That's all you need to know about that. However, there's more. For those of you who have been saying, it's a uniparty, it's a uniparty, it's a uniparty. Yeah. We're going to get to that. Patrick Bet David, I think, had the tweet of the day today. He says, that's funny yet unbelievable. Missed calls from Vladimir Zelensky to Joe Biden today. 247, 52 missed calls, 202. My money's still coming, right? I'm scared. Please answer. All right. I had it on good authority last week that Vivek Ramaswamy was going to be named by Donald Trump as his vice presidential running mate. He was going to go with Vivek. Now, again, I can't say that's for sure. That's what my sources in Washington tell me. Yes, I have sources in Washington, believe it or not. And they said, it's Vivek, it's Vivek. Now, I didn't say anything about that at all because I wasn't sure. But then this happened.
And that's a little bit old, that chart. That chart's a couple of months old. And if you want to really see something that said, take a look at what happened.
Hey, we all know. We've seen that video. And then a couple of days after that, at the Republican National Convention in Milwaukee, Donald Trump named J.D. Vance as his vice presidential candidate. Now, this confused my contacts in Washington, but they reasoned it out. Something happened. Something happened between Friday and the Tuesday that J.D. Vance was named as the VP candidate. Of course, there was the shooting. But what else? We are going to get to that and more in the extension coming up in 2 minutes' time on shadowdavis.com. If you're a member, I will see you there in 2 minutes. If not, I'll catch you tomorrow night at 8 o'clock Central for another Shadow at Night live stream. I love you all. I appreciate you all, and I will talk to you soon. Bye for now.